What was stopping her from punching him in the mouth? I truly want to know. Hey nerds, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back everyone. How y'all doing? Good. We are going to be continuing our review of the show Lovecraft Country. Today we are going to be focusing on episode 4, A History of Violence. But before we get into that, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into this. This episode opens with Montrose on the verge of a mental breakdown. He's mourning the loss of his brother and he's trying to drink the pain away. We can hear the thoughts in his head, more specifically his memories. The most prominent ones being bad moments from his childhood that involve his abusive father and George's death. Then Montrose opens up the bylaws of the Order of Ancient Dawn and he reads this. Adam named, Eve fucked, God brought forth monsters, monsters devoured, God smites Eve. And every time I hear that quote, the main question I have is, now why did God only smite Eve? Adam sinned too, he ate the apple as well. Then Montrose throws the book away and burns it. Then we cut to Christina whipping her sickening ass silver sedan. You see the alliteration, you catch that? Yeah, I know, I'm a rapper. We see her literally speeding through Chicago. And just a little side note, I want to say this. Even though Christina is an evil, unredeemable villain, she has some of the best threads in the show. It's giving very much Rich White Fish, house down, you know. Christina shows up to Letty's house and she tries to waltz her happy ass in there, but she's blocked. She cannot enter. Do y'all remember the protection symbol that the voodoo priestess put on Letty and her house in the last episode? That's keeping Christina from entering the home. And Christina peeps this and she's like, oh, okay, so who helped you, exorcise Hiram from the premises? And Letty finally puts 2 and 2 together because she mentioned Hiram and she was like, it was you who sent me the money. It wasn't from my mom. It was never from my mom. Christina updates Letty on what Tick did that morning, aka tried to shoot her where she stood. And Christina warns Letty to stop being so reckless, and it kind of sort of sounded like she was threatening her. She was like, you don't want to die again. Anyway, the whole reason why Christina is even at Letty's house is because she came to get that orrery. Yes, the same orrery that Hippolyta found in the last episode. She wanted it. Letty says, girl, f you, slams the door in her face. Because I would have too. You have the audacity to be try to come up into my house, after all the stuff that you've done so far, and you want something that's in my house. Get the off my doorstep. Speaking of Hippolyta, we cut to the next scene and we see her talking on the phone with her father, trying to figure out this orrery. This model of the solar system has not 1, but 2 suns. And this thing got Hippolyta bent because she's like, I don't know how to get it to turn on, I don't know how it works. Next, we see a very pissed off Letty storming into the public library to confront Tick about him trying to kill Christina. Tick is like, it doesn't even matter. She can't be killed. She cannot be put down. Do y'all remember the invulnerability spell that Christina was telling Tick about, the one that her father had? She got that same one, got the same spell protecting her. And these two, Tick and Letty, they're already arguing like a married couple. They stay mad at each other, but they always end up chewing each other's faces off, so I don't know. And Tick says that Christina used him as a pawn to kill her father. And then Tick fills Letty in about the missing pages from the Book of Names, and if he can get his hands on those, he can start casting some spells of his own to protect him and his family. And in the last episode, Christina revealed that the pages are somewhere out there, locked in a vault, all tip-top tight, okay? And it can only be accessed by people who have the magic blood of Titus. So basically his relative, and Tick is one of his relatives. Only problem is, Tick does not know where to look. Letty suggests that Tick ask his own dad, but he don't want nothing to do with him at the moment. He doesn't want him involved. That is until he sees Montrose's name in the checkout log in one of the books he was using to research. So now he has no choice but to go and ask his father for some help. Next, we see Tick go into a bar named Sammy's and he is looking for his father. The owner, Sammy, directs Tick towards the back of the bar where Montrose is, and Letty is already there waiting on him. Montrose is urging Letty and Tick to stay away from this magic stuff because they are outgunned, outnumbered, outmanned. Shout out to Hamilton. That's literally what he says in the show. They're outgunned and outnumbered.
We're the Reds in this fight. That means outnumbered, outgunned, fumbling to catch up.
Then Montrose slips up and says there are 34. Yes, 17 times 2, 34 other lodges out there. And Tick is like, wait, how do you know that there's other lodges out there and exactly how many there are? Montrose deflects. He's like, listen, I'm not helping you with this at first. But then he caves and then he reveals that the vault is hidden in a museum all the way out in Boston. That is right, my friends. They are going to embark on another road trip and Woody's coming back. Cut to the next scene and we see Christina playing hide and go seek with the neighborhood children. That is until the cops pull up and they take her. The cops take Christina to go see Captain Lancaster. This is the same cop that was in the back of the van with Letty and he was talking all that smack to her. So Lancaster is pissed because Christina is stepping around in his territory. Like, why are you here? And he's pissed because Christina's trying to move in on his lodge's rightful property, which is the Winthrop house. And he's also mad that she's trying to get the orrery. And he's treating her like straight up shit, being very sexist, talking about no allowed. What was stopping her from punching him in the mouth? I truly want to know. And we already know this is the main problem that Christina deals with when it comes to the Sons of Adam, the sexism, darling. Alright, next day, and we see Tick and Letty packing the car for their road trip to Boston. This scene is too cute. They're angrily packing the car. They keep getting into each other's way. They're acting like children at this point. They're still mad at each other.
Let's go. Told me to let go. Unlike you, I listen.
They're so mom and dad. I love them. At the last minute, Montrose tells Tick and Letty that Hippolyta and Dee are coming with them. And Tick is like, what the f***? They're not supposed to be infiltrating the road trip. We got a mission to do. And Montrose is like, don't you think I know that? This is their car and I had to tell them where we were going. They just decided to join along. Then Tree, the asshole from the last episode, he ends up coming too because why not? There's too many distractions in the car. Cut to the next scene and we see Ruby. Ruby is back and she is finally in the Marshall Field department store. She's scoping out her next workplace, hopefully. So she's browsing the sections until she sees a colored girl working in the store. And she's like, well, what is this shit? Because she noticed that she's new. She's never seen a black girl work here before. That's why she was applying for the job in the first place. And then this random woman got it. And she asked the girl, she was like, oh, I didn't know they were hiring colored girls. And then the other girl's like, yeah, I just did it for funsies. And this, you can tell, tears Ruby down because she really wanted that position. And she was bragging about how if she worked here, it would make her look really good and like put her, you know, on a high pedestal. It was a bad day for Ruby. I'm going to refer to the group as Tick and Company now. Tick and Company finally arrive at the museum and they start splitting off. Hippolyta and Dee are going to an astronomy exhibit. Montrose is going to go find the security guard that's going to help them sneak in later, yada yada yada. Then we see Tree trying to spit game at Letty, but she shuts that down real quick.
And you know why they call me Tree, right? Most men got 2 legs. I got Tree.
Didn't I already know that? Since we fucked in high school, Seymour?
We see Hippolyta and Dee in the exhibit, and Hippolyta tells Dee that one of the comments that they're looking at, she actually named it. She named it Harris Chariot. She named this comment because she was in an astronomy club when she was around Dee's age, but she really didn't get her credit because they gave it to a white girl because, you know, racism. Dee decides to rectify that and she tells the entire room that my mother named Harris Chariot, bitch, and she did. W daughter. Tree then confronts Tick about saying something to Letty about him lying, and Tree thinks this is payback for what he did to Tick in the first episode. For context, when Tick was going around asking people if anyone's seen his dad, he went to Sammy's and Tree sent him out back to go find Sammy. He went out back and Sammy was getting some neck from a dude. And Tick is like, what's that even matter to me? I'm not gay. And then Tree goes, well, your daddy might be, without saying it. And Tick was like, and he was instigating. He was stirring the pot. He was like, well, I'm just saying, you know, your dad and Sammy, they've gotten really close since you've been gone. You're messy. You real messy. He would have loved T channels. So Montrose confirmed with Tick and Letty that the security guard is indeed going to be there later tonight to help them sneak in. And Tick is like, how you know him? Because you just got some very new information that may or may not be true. But Tick and company are on a time limit because they will only have 2 hours to find the missing pages. There's a whole wing dedicated to Titus Braithwaite and his discoveries, and the secret passage is somewhere in that wing. Yes, this man has a whole section to himself of artifacts that he pillaged from indigenous people. Next scene, and we see Christina arriving at her house and the cops are stalking her. A few moments later, we see William emerge. Suited and booted, honey. We ain't seen him in a minute. And then he proceeds to beat the dog shit out of said cops. Not she told her man on them. Not she snitched. Later that night, Tick and company sneak into the museum. So they're poking around trying to see where the secret interest could be, and Montrose puts his 2 and 2 together. He's like, hold on. Turn the flashlights off. So the moon shines down from the skylight and it shines over the statue they have erected of Titus Braithwaite, and that opens the secret door. So Tick climbs down this passageway and he sees 3 tunnels underground. And above the tunnels, a warning is written. It says, beware all ye who tread the path, ever the tide shall rise. That's very archaic and gloomy. I like it. So they take the map of Titus's voyages from the display so they can crack the code on which tunnel is the correct tunnel to take. So Titus's last voyage was to the Caribbean, and that was 3 years before he founded the Sons of Adam. So they figure out which tunnel to go through and they are trekking along. Next scene, we see Ruby performing at Sammy's for a very sparse crowd. I don't mean to be that person, but they sit mighty pretty. I wish mine sat the way hers sit. Okay, I'm gonna move on. And it is at the bar where Ruby meets William. And he trying to get to know her. He even paid her tab for the night. He approaches Ruby on some boy shit, talking about some, baby girl, let me change your life forever. And Ruby is like, please, you are not the first man, let alone the first white man to promise me the world. And William is like, that's a promise I can actually keep. Call me Sierra because I promise. Cut back to Tick and company and they have reached the end of the tunnel. And now they have to cross this deep, dark chasm with a single beam as a bridge going across. It's not very wide. They have to like balance on it. Tick ties a rope around Letty's waist so she can safely cross the beam, and if she falls, she'll have a little bit of help. So as she's crossing the beam, one of Titus's booby traps is activated. It's a goddamn anchor, swinging, undulating back and forth at breakneck speed. At this point, take me out, because what do you mean? So Tick and Letty both manage to make it halfway across, but then the beam starts disappearing. The beam starts disappearing from the other side, and this is forcing Montrose to jump the gap. So they get to the other side of the chasm and there's a puzzle on the door, and Tick recognizes the symbols as the story of the Garden of Eden. Montrose comes in clutch. He comes through and he remembers the quote that he read from the Order of Ancient Dawn at the beginning of the episode. So they open the door, they end up in another tunnel, another cave, and it has water in it. And Tick realizes that the water is going to start rising soon, and now they have less than an hour to find those pages and get the hell up out of there. Back to Ruby and William. They done closed out the bar. It's just them two. Ruby is venting to William how hard it is to be black and how it's a rat race, but if she had the same skin color as him, she wouldn't even have to try. Long story short, William took Ruby home and he got up in it right on the steps. They didn't make it to the bed, girl. He freaky just a little bit. And we hear like a rock version of I Put a Spell on You, very well used in this scene, I might add, and that is important for later. Remember that song. This is my face every time I watch that scene. Back to to Tick and company, trudging through the cave and the water is rising, and Tick confronts his dad about how he knows so much about the Order of Ancient Dawn and the Sons of Adam. Montrose finally tells Tick that George gave him the bylaws of the Order of Ancient Dawn the night he died. Montrose tells Tick that he burnt the bylaws to protect him because that was George's dying wish. Letty finds a dead body floating in the water just happily and freely, and she realizes that this is one of her missing neighbors. And this is how we find out that the vault is right under Letty's house, because we even see her elevator down in the cave. How does that work when they're 15 hours away from Chicago? I don't know. Magic and stuff. And this also confirms that Hiram was a part of the Order as well. Tick wants Letty and Montrose to go home, but Letty is tired of hearing this man's mouth. They've been arguing all episode. She's like, bruh, this is not only affecting you. Your father was literally dad-napped, and I got shot, and I died. Quit acting like this is all about you. Tell his ass again. Tell him one more time. So the water is up to their shoulders now, and they finally find the vault. And to open this vault, Tick has to stick his arm in a mysterious vault so it can draw his blood. His blood will allow him to gain access and open the doors. And we see a severed arm in the hole from the last person who tried their hand at this, no pun intended. And lo and behold, it works. Tick sticks his arm in there and the door is open. A trap door opens from up above and the gang climbs a ladder up into it. And then they find themselves on an abandoned ship, and they see all these mummified corpses frozen in time. This is where shit starts hitting the fan again. This is where it gets crazy. I told you it was only gonna go up from here. One of the corpses has the pages, the missing pages, resting in their hand. When Tick in the gang goes for the pages, this corpse springs to life, and the corpse reverts fully back to a flesh human, revealing an Arawak person named Yahima. When I tell y'all, this is straight up horror. Heebie-jeebies isn't the word. They're better than me. I would have ran. I would have been gone. So this person, Yahima, she has both male and female genitalia, and she is called a two-spirit. Yahima can only speak Arawak, but Tick seems to understand her perfectly. Yahima tells the group that Titus came to her homeland looking for someone who could translate his book. And as she saw the book, she recognized the symbols from a cave that she knew. Just like a colonizer, overstepping and doing too much. And when Yahima found out about Titus's true intentions, she refused to help him any further. But he promised that she would be reunited with her people. And he kept that promise by killing them and imprisoning her on that ship for eternity. Tick asked her for help, and she's like, listen, I don't know you, but you know, you are not responsible for the sins of your ancestors, but no, I'm not helping you. And Montrose's stupid ass decides to snatch the pages from Yahima, and she gets to screaming. So this cracks the windows, and all this water starts flooding the ship. So now they gotta get the hell up out of there. The water filled in so fast, they're full on swimming back to the elevator. And right before the elevator closes, Letty sees that Montrose dropped the pages. So she springs back into action, and she is a Michael Phelps in that mofo. She is kicking, swimming, doing all of that, and she saved the pages before they all drown. I guess Tick, seeing Letty save their asses once again, turns him on, so he decides to chew on her face a little. And for whatever reason, Yahima starts screaming, so Tick has to knock her out. I'm talking like full on, like he decks her. I personally feel that was unnecessary. We then see Hippolyta and Dee driving back to Chicago in the middle of the night. So just Tick and the rest of them, y'all just left them there. And Hippolyta sees that Dee has George's atlas, and she takes a closer look at that and sees the last destination that he circled on it. Girl, when I tell y'all, she turned that car around with the quickness. She was not playing. She wants answers, and she wants them now. Back to Tick and company, and Tick has figured out that Yahima was cursed by Titus and turned into a siren. So if she ever left, that ship, she wouldn't be able to speak. So that's why she can only scream. Now Tick wants to teach her English so she can write and help him translate the language of Adam. We see a rare moment, a sweet moment between Montrose and Tick. He tells Tick how proud he was of him and how brave he was today and how he grew up to be a great man despite, you know, him being his father. It was nice, and I truly do believe that Montrose meant that. Now, Montrose is alone with Yahima, and right when we think something, you know, wholesome is about to happen, Montrose slits Yahima's throat, and that is literally how the episode ends. Cut to black. We done. And I bet first time viewers were like, so why did that happen? Was that necessary? Me, still to this day, I'm like, okay, maybe Montrose did it for good reason because maybe she could have been a liability, but at the same time, why kill her? All right, business as usual. It is time for my thoughts and my commentary. First, I want to say I love the vibes coming from this episode. Each episode never feels the same as the last. It's always a different feel, you know, with each episode coming through. This episode had an Indiana Jones inspired storyline and it was very gravitating. There's also quite a bit of material on the conversation of white colonialism. We learned that Titus's voyages took him across the world, mainly to where indigenous people reside. And just like any white colonizer, he stole from them. And there's a possibility that he killed more people than we know, and he probably raped some of their women. I wouldn't put it past him. He owned slaves. Seeing the curse that Titus put on Yahima speaks to how deep the roots go regarding white colonialism and the pain that stays with the cultures affected. I want to begin the commentary and conversation of self-hatred in black women stemming from Ruby. I say begin because it continues from this point out, like throughout the series, and we'll see how that manifests. As previously mentioned, Ruby was venting to William about how hard it is to be a black woman, and she said if she were white, things would be easier. That one statement alone that's a lot to unpack. Now, what I won't do is sit here and say Ruby is invalid for feeling what she feels. I can try to understand being the time that she is living in. I could see where that mindset comes into play. But, and it's a big but, this comes across as anti-black. Anti-black. I know it's crazy because it's coming out of a black woman's mouth, but that doesn't make it any less anti-black. That's just my thought process, and I think it was meant to be written that way, you know, when it came out of Ruby's mouth, because, you know, it's reflecting her self-hatred. We can tell that Ruby does not think much of herself as a black woman. She thinks the key to success and equality is being white. Now that I'm saying this out loud, this is very They Clone Tyrone. Shout out, y'all go watch that movie. And it adds another layer that she, a black woman, is complaining to William, a white man, about this very thing. And I promise you, a white man back in that time trying to move up on a chocolate girl couldn't give a shit. And something else I want to point out is the quote-unquote romance between Ruby and William. I put quotes there because what they have right now is purely physical. I want to acknowledge the creators and the writers for even giving us this scene. Now, I've said this plenty of times on the channel before, but if you're new here, I advocate for how black women are portrayed in the media. Okay, I advocate for it hard. Women who look like One Me, who plays Ruby, you know, dark and heavy set, they don't get the chance to be the main love interest, you know, and if they are a love interest, they're the second choice. And they usually get stereotypical roles like the mammy or the sexual one, or, you know, like stuff like that, y'all know. But giving her a sex scene with a white man, Shake the table if you must. Shake it. Now I have a whole rant / tirade that goes behind this, but I won't subject y'all to that today. I'll just shorten it as best as I can. It would be one thing to have her do a sex scene with a black man, more specifically a light-skinned black man, because let's be honest, colorism is real and alive in the industry as well as it is in the real world. They took it even a step further and said, you know what, screw the light-skinned black man, throw a white man in there. Put the white man up in it. And it was a good scene. Y'all go watch that scene, because maybe it's just me, maybe I'm a little freaked out, but they acted their asses off, I'm gonna just say that. The chemistry was definitely there, it works. And I see how this scene can rub some folks the wrong way because it feeds into the fetishization of black women, especially coming from white men. So I see that perspective and I acknowledge that. I see y'all. I get it, because that was like animalistic sex. You know, there's no romance or deep feeling behind it. I get it. But I do feel the scene was needed nonetheless. Okay, so that is the end of episode 4 of Lovecraft Country. I'm done ranting and raving about it. I love this episode too. I love this. It just keeps, in my opinion, it keeps getting better as we go deeper into the series. Also, now that the lore is expanding at this point in time, it just gets better. Just trust me. Quick note before I, end the video. I made a post and we are going to be doing a Read and Rouge tournament. Here's the post. Go read it, please, so you are well informed. That is all I'm going to say. Go look at this post that I put on the channel. Please read it. Thank you very much. You didn't knock or nothing.
I heard you finish.
I'm not finished. So that concludes our video for today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you made it to the end of this video, comment an anchor emoji and subscribe if you want to. I'll see y'all on the next go round. Okay, bye.